So Battlefield 4 has been with us for just over a month now, and it's fair to say it's been a little bit of a problem child. It's not had the smoothest release, to say the least, and I personally think it's because it was rushed out in an attempt to try and beat Call of Duty Ghosts, which with hindsight it could have done even if it was released 2 years later. It is a damn sight better than Call of Duty Ghosts. But it has been, for me, a mostly very, very enjoyable game, and I do think there is a massive potential for something extremely special from what I've seen and played so far. It just needs to get brought up to scratch and just smoothed out, get through this teething phase, and then we've got a very special game on our hands. But I'm not here to talk about the errors with Battlefield 4. I actually want to take you back to when the release of Battlefield 4 was first announced. Now, this wasn't as exciting for everyone as you might have imagined. A lot of people thought, oh, Battlefield 4, that looks good, but I would rather see Battlefield Bad Company 3. There were a lot of people out there who were hoping to hear DICE announce the release of Battlefield Bad Company 3 rather than Battlefield 4, and that's mainly down to Bad Company 2. This is an absolutely massive fan favourite. Talk to a lot of Battlefielders and they will tell you Bad Company 2 is where they had their most fun. Now, when Bad Company 2 was out, I didn't have a gaming PC. If I wanted to play a game, I played it on my console. But I did recently pick Bad Company 2 up in the Origin sale, and I've gone back onto it for a bit. And despite the fact that, if you think about it, it's 2 releases ago now, it still looks really, really good actually. It looks nice and crisp. Obviously it doesn't look as good as Battlefield 4, but graphics are not by any means the most important part of a game. It's about how much fun you have on it. And if you ask people why they would rather have Battlefield Bad Company 3 to Battlefield 4 when it was first announced, they'd say that little things like the destruction on Bad Company 2 is the best that it's been so far. That's a very, very widely held belief, and if you actually take some time to look at the destruction on Bad Company 2, it is a great destruction system. And there's other little details like that, but the main thing people will tell you is Battlefield Bad Company 2 just had something about it. It was just something made that game more fun. I mean, if you look at the campaign, for example, the campaign is very focused on humour. It's not an entirely serious campaign. You can play it through and have a laugh, and there's certain things that will make you giggle while you play the campaign. And the actual gameplay itself, there is just something about it, and it's hard to put it into words. I didn't play a lot of Bad Company 2. I played little bits when it was out on my Xbox, but I was sort of into Gears of War and Halo at the time. But then going back to it on PC, after having played a lot of Battlefield 3 and a lot of Battlefield 4, you can just feel that something that you can't quite put into words that just makes the game just feel fun. I was talking to somebody the other day and they said they thought Rush on Battlefield Bad Company 2 is the best it's ever been. And since Bad Company 2, they've not made Rush as good as they did on that. And for me, one thing that stands out is I love playing as Recon on Bad Company 2. Aggressive Recon. I very rarely play Recon on a game. I am awful at it. But something about Bad Company 2 makes Recon really fun. So yeah, I think it is that massive fun factor. Battlefield is a very serious game, but Bad Company 2 just seemed a bit more social, a bit more you could get on with your friends, have a good laugh and just have a bit of fun. Whereas Battlefield seems to have given birth to a more serious competitive edge. So, like I said, when it was announced, because of these reasons, a lot of people would rather have seen Battlefield Bad Company 3 get released. But what I want to ask you guys is, with hindsight, would you prefer to have had Battlefield Bad Company 3 over Battlefield 4? Now, I personally think with hindsight, the big fans of the Bad Company series will be, in a way, pleased that we got Battlefield 4 rather than Bad Company 3. Mainly because of the fact that Battlefield 4 has been such a problem child. There have been so many different bugs and errors with it, so many problems, and it has ruined the experience for quite a lot of players. Now, if you're a big Bad Company fan and you've been waiting 3 years for a sequel, I think if it came out instead of Battlefield 4, with all the errors we've had with Battlefield 4, it would leave a lot of the Bad Company fans disappointed, and it just would not live up to the expectations. I mean, it's a similar situation for me. When Star Wars Battlefront comes out, I've been waiting 8 years for a new Star Wars Battlefront game, and if it comes out as buggy as Battlefield 4, it is just going to take a lot away from it, and it's just going to spoil it a little bit for me. So I can imagine if Bad Company 3 had come out instead of Battlefield 4, we would have a lot of unhappy Bad Company fans. I'm not saying we don't now because we don't have Bad Company 3, we've got Battlefield 4, but you've got to look at it in 2 different perspectives. But DICE did say that we're going to try and combine elements of Battlefield and elements of Bad Company into Battlefield 4. I certainly think the destruction is much better than it was on Battlefield 3. The game does feel more fun, but things like Rush, I think Rush is very unbalanced now. I do agree that Rush was great on Battlefield Bad Company 2. But all in all, I am very happy with Battlefield 4. I think there's a lot of potential there. You can't really compare it to Battlefield Bad Company because it is a separate series, but I do think they've incorporated features of Bad Company quite nicely into it. But my main question to you now is, now you've had a month to sit down and experience Battlefield 4, Ignore all the bugs, they are going to get fixed. I don't think it's getting dealt with in the best way, to be honest. We're in a situation that we shouldn't have been in the first place. There shouldn't be this many errors when a game comes out, especially not a AAA title. But ignore all that and just go back down to the core gameplay. Think about things like Levolution, the weather cycles, the new maps, the DLCs, everything we've got to look forward to. With all that considered, are you happy with Battlefield 4? Or would you trade it for Battlefield Bad Company 3 given the chance? I personally think Battlefield Bad Company 3 is next on the list for DICE, so I don't think we've got too long to wait for that game to come out. And to be honest, I think it is actually good for the series that Battlefield 4 came out first, because this is the first time DICE have had to put a game across so many platforms, current gen, next gen, PC. So it really will help them sort of iron out the creases in putting out a game across so many platforms. So hopefully when their next release comes around, which in my opinion will be Battlefield Bad Company 3, they will have mastered the art of getting a game right on release. But yeah, like I said, give me your opinions. Would you trade Battlefield 4 for Bad Company 3? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. I am giving away Battlefield 4 physical dog tags to my subscribers. But in the meantime, you guys take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you all very soon.